All right, today we are diving into one wild story. We're talking about a rebellion, a truly ground-shaking surprise, and a stick that, believe it or not, comes back to life. Let's get into it.
So, why start with a question like that? Well, because that feeling, that little spark of jealousy, is exactly where our whole story begins. And you're about to see how that one little feeling can grow into something way, way bigger. Okay, picture this, a giant camp, thousands of people all living out in the middle of the desert. Our story doesn't kick off with a loud battle cry. No, it starts with something much quieter and a lot more dangerous, a jealous whisper.
First up, let's meet the guys in charge. You've got Moses and his brother Aaron. Now, their job was to lead the entire nation of Israel through this massive desert. Not an easy gig for sure. But here's the key. They were the leaders because God had specifically picked them for the job.
And then you've got this guy, Korah. Now, Korah was no slouch. He was actually Moses' cousin, and he had a really important job helping out at the Holy Tabernacle. But he'd look over at his cousin Aaron, who was the high priest, and this little thought started creeping in. Hey, I want that job. I should be the most important one around here.
And finally, there's everyone else, the people of Israel. I mean, think about it. They've been walking around in a hot desert for a long, long time. They were tired, they were totally fed up, and they were starting to grumble about their leaders. You can see how they'd be pretty easy to stir up, right?
So Korah sees all this grumbling, and a little light bulb goes off in his head. He realizes he can use the crowd's unhappiness to his advantage. He's about to turn his own personal jealousy into a massive problem for Moses.
And man, Korah was smart about this. He didn't just shout. He started whispering these tricky half-truths. He'd say things like, Moses and Aaron are just grabbing all the power for themselves, when really they were just following God's plan. He's basically painting this picture where they're the victims, and it's all Moses' fault. Pretty sneaky, huh?
And you know what? It totally worked. His whispers got louder and louder, and pretty soon he had convinced 250 other important, famous leaders to join his side. He got them all fired up, believing that Moses and Aaron needed to be taken down a peg. So all this secret whispering and complaining, it's about to get really, really loud. Korah and his crew decided it was time to stop hiding. They were going to march right up and challenge Moses and Aaron to their faces. This is literally what they said to them. They walked up and basically accused them, "Who do you think you are? You act so special, but we're all holy people here. Why do you get to be the bosses of everyone?"
But Moses, instead of getting into a big shouting match, he does something really bold. He just says, okay, let's settle this. Tomorrow, you guys bring your special fire pans, and we'll all offer incense to God. And we're going to let God himself show us who he has chosen. Talk about high stakes, right?
Okay, so the next day comes around. Korah and his 250 followers are all there with their fancy fire pans, totally sure they're about to be proven right. A huge crowd gathers to watch, but nobody could have guessed what was coming next. So first, Moses tells everyone else, hey, you need to get away from these guys, seriously, back up. Then he says God is about to do something brand new, something nobody has ever seen before, to prove who's really in the right here. And literally, as the last word leaves his mouth, it happens. The ground, the solid earth right under the feet of the main rebels, just cracks and splits wide open. Korah and the other main ringleaders, Dathan and Abiram, their families, their tents, everything they owned, just gone. They fell into this giant chasm, and the earth just slammed shut right over them. And if that wasn't enough of a sign, for those 250 other leaders standing there holding their fire pans, a fire shot out from the sky and consumed every single one of them. God's answer was terrifyingly clear. So you'd think after that, everyone would just be quiet and listen, right? Nope, not even close. The very next day, the people are at it again. This time, they're blaming Moses and Aaron, shouting, "You killed God's people." Can you believe it? And because they just wouldn't stop, a terrible plague starts spreading through the camp. And look at that number, 14,000 more people died. So God decided, okay, enough with the scary stuff. We need one last totally clear and peaceful sign to end this argument once and for all. So here's the plan for the new test. It's much quieter this time. Moses is told to collect a wooden stick, or a staff, from the leader of each of Israel's 12 tribes. Aaron provides one for his tribe, Levi, and they write his name on it. Then they take all 12 dead wooden sticks and place them inside the Holy Tabernacle for the night. So when Moses goes to check on them the next morning, you won't believe it. 11 of the rods are exactly as they were, just plain old sticks. But Aaron's rod, it had completely come to life overnight. It had sprouted little buds, it had bloomed with flowers, and it had even grown ripe, ready to eat almonds.
This was it, the final answer. No earthquake, no fire, just this quiet, impossible miracle of life. And that's what finally did it. The people saw the blooming almond-covered stick, and the complaining stopped. They finally understood who God had chosen. Wow. So after all of that, the jealousy, the rebellion, the ground splitting open, and a stick that literally grows almonds overnight, what are we supposed to take away from all this? What's the point of Korah's big mistake?
Well, it's this huge flashing warning sign, isn't it? It shows how a tiny little seed of jealousy in one person's heart can spiral out of control, poisoning hundreds and then thousands of other people. It's a powerful lesson that trying to grab a position that isn't yours can lead to absolute disaster.
And look, we all feel that sting of jealousy sometimes. That's just part of being human. But this whole story kind of makes you stop and think, right? When you feel that envy popping up in your own life, what's a better road to take than the one Korah took? What's a wiser way to deal with it?